For the longest time, people thought the GRI professional certification was a pretty niche credential, really just for sustainability report writers, while that idea is completely out the window. Today, it's become a core strategic capability for business leaders, period. So let's dig into what's driving this huge shift and break down exactly how you can master what's become an absolutely essential skill.
So, here's what we're going to tackle in this explainer. First, we'll look at GRI's new strategic power. Then, we'll talk about the outdated mental model that, honestly, causes a lot of people to fail. Next up, the big one, the impact-first revelation. After that, we'll walk through a super practical playbook for how to master it. And we'll wrap up by looking at how all of this can seriously future-proof your career. All right, let's dive right in with the big picture here. The whole idea that GRI is just for the corporate social responsibility folks, that's ancient history.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. Thinking about GRI in that old way isn't just a little off. It's actually a strategic liability. It's holding you and your company back because the entire landscape has changed under our feet. So why the big shift? Well, it's because GRI competency isn't about formatting a report anymore. It's about really understanding how all that information on a company's social and environmental performance, the non-financial data, becomes absolutely critical business intelligence. We're talking about decision-grade data that shapes major financial moves, helps predict regulatory headaches, and flat out defines a company's credibility. And that is why we're seeing finance managers, internal auditors, and risk pros flocking to get this certification.
And, sticking to that old way of thinking, it leads to a huge problem. A surprising number of people actually fail the certification exam. And it's usually not because the material is rocket science. No, it's because they're coming at it with a totally wrong mental model.
This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the one side, you've got the old view, seeing GRI as just some little checklist for the CSR team. But the new reality, it's a completely different story. It's a strategic capability that requires systems thinking, and it's essential for folks in finance, risk, and even legal. So listen up, because this is crucial. If you walk into that exam thinking you just need to have a checklist of disclosures memorized, you are setting yourself up to fail. That box-ticking mindset completely misses the entire point of what the GRI framework is actually designed to achieve.
Okay, so this brings us to the real aha moment of the GRI framework, the fundamental mindset shift you have to make. Seriously, getting this one concept is the key that unlocks the entire system.
At its very core, GRI is what we call an impact-first framework. And what does that mean? It means the starting point for absolutely everything, every single disclosure, every decision, is the organization's actual real-world impact on the economy, on the environment, and on people, which definitely includes their human rights.
All right, let's break this down because it's a game changer. You see, other frameworks, like the ones focused on investors, they ask the question, how does sustainability issues affect our company's bottom line? GRI completely flips that. It starts by asking, how do our company's actions affect the world? This two-way street, the impact on the company and the impact by the company, that's the soul of what we call double materiality. And trust me, the exam will test your grasp of this idea over and over again.
Okay, so theory is great, but how do you actually do it? How do you prepare to really master this stuff? Let's get practical and go through a playbook for success.
The playbook is pretty straightforward. Step 1. You have got to internalize that impact-first logic we just talked about. Make it second nature. Step 2. Really master the universal standards. They're the foundation of the whole system. And step 3. Practice, practice, practice with scenario-based questions. If you get those 3 steps down, you'll have a really solid grip on where GRI fits into the whole reporting ecosystem.
Now pay attention here because these are 2 areas that trip people up all the time. First up is governance. Don't just treat it like some background section you can skim. GRI sees it as the absolute core mechanism that makes every other disclosure credible. You have to understand board oversight, policies, the whole deal. The other one is the universal standards. These are the rules of the game that connect everything else. Just knowing individual disclosures won't cut it. You have to know the system. And this is so important. The exam is not a memory test. It's not a trivia night. It's designed to test your judgment in real-world situations. They'll give you messy scenarios with incomplete data or conflicting priorities, and your job is to apply the GRI principles to find the most practical, defensible path forward. It's all about strategic thinking, not just remembering facts.
All right, let's tie all of this together. Why should you even care about this? I mean, why go through all the trouble to master it? Well, because this is about way more than passing a test. It's about future-proofing your entire career,
Look, sustainability data isn't some fluffy, nice-to-have report that sits on a shelf anymore. This is hard-nosed business data. It's being used right now as a direct input for banks making credit decisions. It's factoring into how insurance companies price their policies. It's being used to qualify suppliers in the supply chain and to assess a company's real litigation risk. This isn't the future. This is today.
And this quote just perfectly sums it all up. Success, not just on the exam, but in your career, comes from showing that you can think systematically, that you see how sustainability weaves into the core functions of the business.
At the end of the day, having this certification on your resume, well, it's a huge signal to the market. It tells recruiters, it tells consulting firms, it tells potential employers that you get it. You have the strategic credibility needed now that this kind of reporting is becoming regulated and needs to be formally assured.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. This whole shift we've talked about really presents a choice. Mastering GRI is about making that leap from someone who just reports on what happened in the past to someone who is actively shaping the organization's strategy for the future. So the question is, which side do you want to be on?